Okay, welcome to chapter 8. That is capitulum octavum. Um, I love Aurelia. She always looks like such a shrew. Here's another picture of her here. In fact, I think it's the same picture, except yeah, they reversed it. Notice those nasty upper eyelids and that turn of mouth. She always just looks like she's angry. All right. Well, anyway, to the business at hand. What is in chapter 8? Preparing to return to Rome. That's the story. Aurelia gets up and starts hassling the slaves to stop being lazy. And look at this guy here. He's like, whatever. And then this guy's like, hey, look, we're pretending to polish this vase, this amphora right here. And Marcus and Sextus, privileged youth that they are still asleep while the slaves are getting up. But this is Roman life. What can you do? This is Roman life. So I'm not going to have a whole lot of videos for this chapter because virtual high school, for some reason, has let you off the hook from a lot of what I think are good exercises, and you only have to do 8D. If it were up to me, I'd be making sure you did 8B and 8C, which are both really helpful with a new concept in this chapter, which is the idea of person and number, a foreign concept to many. Even at the age, or even in grades 9 and 10, I still see students who are like, person and number, what is that when it comes to verbs? So, I'm going to go over person and number real quick, and I'm going to go over what is called the vocative case. And this is a new case. So far, we have nominative and accusative. And now we're going to add vocative to our case, our stable of cases. Okay, vocative is not a very hard concept, um, but person and number is a very important concept. So I want to go over this quickly, at least a little bit here. So, what does it mean for a verb to have person and number? Person is expressed, before I get into what it is expressed as either first or second or third, and number is expressed either as singular or plural. Some people think, oh, number, what number? Like they think, what declension number is that? But that's not it. When it comes to verbs, person is first, second, or third, and number just means singular or plural. So we have a little chart here. I just made this chart up. I'll set it off from the rest of it like this. That didn't really do the job I wanted to. Let's see, make it a little brighter. Okay, so singular and plural, first, second, and third. So we got person over here, and we got number going this way. So first person singular is most important person in the world, the I, the ego, the center of the universe. All right, so we start at I and we move to you and then we move to he, she, it. So first singular is I, second singular is you, and third singular is either he or she or it. So the basic rule is I talk to you about him or he or it or she. So in terms of intimacy, from the from a person's center, the first person to that person is I. And then if they're talking to someone, that second person becomes you. And then if they're talking to that second person about a third person, then that is going to be sort of an anonymous he, she, or it. So moving from I to you to he, she, or it. And then if we pluralize all those, it's really fairly simple. If you take an I and you add another person to it to make it a plural, it's really a we, right? I and someone else equals a we. If you take a you and you add another couple people to it, you get y'all, you plural. I usually use a lot of Latin teachers use this y'all when illustrating a second person plural to distinguish it from second person singular, right? There's you one person, and you, y'all, you many people. And then the plural of any he, she, or it is going to be a they. So I am talking to you about him. I'm talking to you about them or they. As these are all subjects, as subjects, what they would be called. So not them, but they. Okay, so that's person and number. You're going to see all verbs have, well, no, not all verbs. Some infinitive, well, infinitives don't have person and number. When we say ambulare, that's an infinitive. That means to walk, not I walk or you walk or we walk or they walk, etc. So you should commit these to memory. First person, second person, third person, singular, and plural. These are going to become a new part of life. And guess what? They have endings that change. What a surprise. So I'll get into that in a second. Actually, let's see. Maybe we should bring that up right now. Here is the chart right here on page 54. We have person here and number here. So for each person and number, we have a corresponding ending that goes onto a verb. And the example is right here. So if you want to say I prepare, you have this O ending. So now in your mind you have to think O equals I. What does that mean? It sounds like algebra. The S at the end of paras indicates that is a you. You prepare. Paras, paro, paras, parat, paramos, paratis, parant. Why did I take this class? Don't worry, it gets better. So each of the persons and numbers is associated with an ending, and you're going to see that those go on to all verbs. Right now we're just giving you the basics concept here, but you're going to see there's 4 different groups of verbs. So they're gonna all have this ending, which is these endings for the different persons and numbers. They're going to still be separated. Those verb groups or conjugations, they're going to be separated from one another for a variety of reasons, but they will all have these endings. Hooray. And that works for what are called irregular verbs, like this one down here. Notice MST, mus, tis, NT. Now that's a slight difference from this OST, mus, tis, NT. So some first persons are O, and sometimes you'll see the ending as M, and that'll change in a variety of different ways sometimes. Incidentally, maybe a good time to talk about what an irregular verb is. An irregular verb is a verb where the front end of the verb changes. Like it doesn't have a predictable, reliable sort of PAR, PAR, PAR. That's very regular. That's very reliable. But we look at the verb sum, which is the verb to be. We have sum, but then we have s. We don't have sum and then sumus and then sumut and then sumumus and sumtis, etc. So the forms of the verb in the front part change, unlike these regular verbs where we have PAR. So forgive me if I'm giving you too much information, and maybe at this point I should put a link in to Latin tutorial that goes into more depth, or at least prepares in a perhaps more entertaining way than I do, the idea of person and number of verbs. So hopefully you'll be seeing a link or a note right here, and you can go visit that at your convenience. Again, Latin Tutorial does a great job at general concepts of Latin. It's very masterful in sort of its general concepts, and this video series is aimed at being particular to Ecce Romani. So that's the only reason I made these videos. Okay, so that covers verbs, person, and number. Then we have this idea of the vocative case. Vocative comes from the Latin word vocare, vocare, which means to call. As in, I'm calling you on the phone and you're not answering me. So when you're calling, or more particularly when you are addressing someone, when you're speaking to someone, the person that you are speaking to, or that anyone is speaking to in Latin prose or poetry or anything like that, that person is said to be in the vocative case. So again, as a review, we had nominative for subjects, We had accusative for direct objects, and now we have vocative for what is called direct address. That's not the same thing as a direct object. It's when you are addressing or speaking to someone personally. So as I say, I have right here 2 points here. Used when someone is being spoken to. Like if I say, "Hey slave, get me some water pronto," the word slave here is vocative. The person being addressed is in the vocative case. Can I say it too many times? Possibly. Number two, very often it looks as regards its form or what it looks like, what the endings are. It looks very much like the nominative case, except for masculine people or jobs that typically end with us in that nominative. This nominative us ending for those particular people is going to be replaced with the letter E. When you, as I say, you don't address Marcus or a slave as Marcus or servus. When spoken to, they are marque, marque, or serve. So that would go for any body, any person that ends with an us, and that can be, as I say, a job or a person's name. Now there is an exception even to this rule here, which I'm not going to go into, but you can find the exceptions on page 56 right here. For the most part, vocative looks like nominative, with the exception of these types. Us becomes a, with these exceptions. Okay, I'm going to leave you now and we will get back to exercise 8D. But let me tell you, if you want to do yourself a little bit of a favor, I would look through 8B as a way to learn more and recognize person and number in verbs. So keep in mind, we got not only paro, paras, parat, a regular verb, but we got sum, es, sumus, estis, sunt. This is a critical chart that you really must memorize. And there's practice with it, right? 8b, sextus est lightos. Sextus is happy. So the narrator says that Sextus is happy. And then Marcus says, tu es lightos sexte, cur. So here we got not only good vocative practice, Sextus is being spoken to here, so he's vocative, he's sexte, not sextus, but we also have practice with this s, which is a verb here, right? You are happy, Sextus. Why? And then Sextus says, ego sum lightus quod Romam ire volo. I am happy because I want to go to Rome. So I would really look at that 8B and 8C. I think they're both very good practice. If you're just trying to get it done, then go ahead and do 8D. But I'm telling you from experience last year, people didn't seem to have enough real grounding in person and number in verbs, and that is just another critical thing. Like noun cases, verb, person, and number are going to be a new part of life. All right, so I would really look over 8B and 8C if I were you. 8D I will explain in the next video. Sorry for talking so long once again.